Salutations and proclamations. It is I, it is you, it is us, it is we. Together we all make up the De La Fit Podcast. What's going on, everybody? I am Philly's number one son, aka the Body Alchemist, your host for this podcast journey, and welcome. This day we have some great information for you. We've got some great guests for you. I'm going to talk about that soon. But I want to chime in a little bit on the McGregor-Khabib fight that took place, I'd say about now, it's been about 2 weeks. And the conversation that I had with a few people, I don't know how many of you follow UFC. I don't know how many of you pay attention to the whole fight game. I'm not a real big fight person. I'm more into the training that the athletes do. I like boxing, I like UFC, I like wrestling, primarily for the training aspect. So I'm always watching, trying to learn things that I can take back for myself and clients, and just to benefit and progress myself. But I didn't really watch the fight. What I did was I paid attention to the highlights. I'm a highlight person. As far as being sports, I love sports. I love especially my home team. I'm a Philadelphia fan. I'm from Philadelphia, so I'm all about the Eagles. I'm all about the Sixers. I'm all about Philly teams, but I don't typically watch the games. Just to give you an example, last year when the Eagles won the championship, go Eagles, I hardly watched many of the games. I just kept the alerts on my cell phone. So when the alerts come up, I was, and if we were playing in the championship, I really didn't watch the game. I was like, no, I'm not going to watch the game. I'm just going to look at the alerts. So just to give you some background feedback on the type of sports fan I am, I basically, a couple weeks ago, just paid attention to the alerts of the Conor McGregor fight. So I fell asleep, woke up next day. I was like, I'm going to check it out. And then it was like this whole media blast of this huge fight. And I'm thinking, it must have been a really good fight. But they weren't talking about the fight in the ring. They were talking more so about the fight out in the stands. So for those that don't know, those that didn't see the news, those that, pardon me, aren't interested in sports like that, I'm just going to take a quick overview to show you, tell you what took place. Conor McGregor is a big talker. He's no different than a Mayweather, which is what made his fight with Floyd Mayweather big. But Conor McGregor and I forget the other man's name. I just know his first name, which is Khabib, have been going back and forth. It's been getting pretty heated. Conor McGregor is an agitator. That's the type of person he is. That's how he makes his money. He makes his money on being the bad guy. Anybody that's paid attention ever to any wrestling show, anybody who's ever paid attention to any superhero show, whatever, there's always a villain. Well, Conor McGregor makes his living on being the villain. All right, he's a great fighter, but that's how he really packs the stands. And he made some comments that agitated Khabib. Khabib is from a satellite country which is connected to Russia, and McGregor made comments about him, his father who is sickly. He made comments about his family. He made comments about his religious beliefs, and Khabib is Muslim. Now, the fight ensued. It all led up to a big crescendo. And the fight ensued. Khabib beat him, knocked him out with a submission hold, a neck hold, which knocked McGregor out. After winning the match, Khabib then ran over to the ring, which is like an iron octagon that they have. It's got like a chain link fence, and he jumped up over the fence, and proceeded to get into a fight with one of Conor McGregor's conditioning coaches, who is also a fighter, but it was more in the capacity of a coach. So he hops out of the ring, he starts fighting, gets this big brouhaha outside of the ring between camps. As McGregor's in the ring recovering, two of Khabib's associates who are in his camp jump in the ring and they jump McGregor. All right, they jump McGregor. One punches him in the face, one hits him in the back of the head. Now, this gets really blown out. It's a big thing. Security takes people here and there. They're trying to get everything together. And then the president of the UFC, Dana White, basically tells Khabib, he's like, even though you won the fight, I really don't want to give you the championship in the ring because just so much emotion is taking place. And people, you have to understand, Conor McGregor has a very large, loyal following. He's Irish, and to me, he represents that traditional, very proud, very boisterous Irish countryman heritage. I have friends who are Irish. They're very proud people, and they speak their mind, not unlike any other culture. Now, Khabib also comes from a very strong, loyal following. All right, which is again, I have to find out his actual. I don't want to mess up his country's name, but it's like a satellite country very close to Russia. But he's got a very loyal fan base of countrymen, So, and the thing of it is when you have very loyal fan bases, very loyal people that ride with you, because not only do you make up a role model as an athlete, but you are a shining example of your country's best of the best, your country's patriotism. What takes place is that this can be a bad situation. So, at least this is how I see it. So I think Dana White wanted to try to stay off any more violence in the city of Las Vegas because he did not want two different ethnic groups to get involved. That's how I see it. But anyway, all this broke down, and the thing of it is that they're starting to question. First of all, I think Khabib and members of his camp have been suspended. They suspended McGregor, but at the same time, they are talking about that they lifted him off suspension because his camp really had nothing to do with it at that moment. Now, there's some back history in this, and I'm not going to get into it because I'm not particularly a news person in that sense. This isn't really a news show. We're a fitness and health show. But because I am, into, like I said, sports and exercise and training, I was paying attention to it. The thing of it is that the question arose, is Conor McGregor at fault because he talked trash? Khabib is possibly going to be suspended. And he's suspended, but they're thinking of possibly stripping him of the title. I actually agree they should strip him of the title. And my reasons for it is the fact of you're a professional fighter. You're a champion at that. You're supposed to act with a certain level of respect and a certain level of discipline. Now, what separates fighting in the streets from fighting in the ring is the fact that you're supposed to understand this. Khabib's comments were the fact of, this man said all these things about me. He shouldn't be allowed to get away with that. This isn't a sport where you're supposed to talk trash. I'm sorry, my Muslim brother, but let me tell you the truth. The whole fight game has always been about talking trash. It's always about getting butts and seats. That's how they make the most money. That's how you get people to buy tickets. So for him to say this to me, I'm like, you're not a novice at being in this game. You know what it is. What it is that you simply lost control. You lost control and you lost that sense of being a professional, which got you out of your element. Pardon me. I'm gonna need some water. I normally have water next to me, but hey. But anyway, he lost his discipline. He lost his control, and now he's in the part where he could be severely punished for it. Now, I sat down and had a conversation with my pop about it, and we disagreed. My father said no, he won the fight, he shouldn't be stripped, and the man did talk trash about him. Where we did agree is the fact of the man lost control. Now, my father and I, my father is a very disciplined, strict man, all right, and I come from a Muslim family. My father's opinion is the fact, no, he shouldn't get away with saying these things, and I totally agree. At the same time, I'm looking more at the UFC. I'm looking more at the president, Dana White, just because of the fact I'm like, now, Are you going to start structures on how much the type of talking, the in-depth nature of or topic that a person can talk about when in these fights? Or, are you going to start finding these individuals when they say things that go towards their family or things like that? Or are you just a hypocrite who wants to make more people, excited about your brand? So that's just my little, talk about that. It's just something that popped up. Like I said, we're not typically a news show. We're, and it's just something I was focusing on because I think things like this are interesting because from a deeper space, of just, it's a responsibility thing, and that type of interesting situation right there for me. Anyway, back to what we came here for. We came here to talk about fitness, to talk about health. And man, do I have a show for you today. I recently took part in what I like to call, or no, I'm just going to call it what it is. I recently took part in a 21-day semen retention challenge. For those that don't understand what that is, basically, it is basically like a sexual fast. It was a challenge given by a man who was on the show today, a brother JahSun, who I'm gonna let him break down his background and his knowledge base and history to you. But I took place in this sexual fast, which the rules are no porn, no sexual contact, no loss of your semen. All right. And it was a challenge, everybody. It's not a challenge that I'm going to be honest. I'm going to be honest. It's not a challenge that I feel that I passed. But I got involved with this based on seeing this man on Instagram talk about, what he does and his reason for doing it. And I thought of all the challenges to take a part of, this was a challenge that was worthy of it because it was more about self-healing, more about self-discipline, and seeing where you lack in discipline. So, without further ado, we're going to get ready to get into this conversation about the 21-day semen retention challenge with Brother JahSun. We've also got another great guest coming up in the Dropping the Jewels section, and I'm gonna let you know about who that is momentarily. But as always, thank you for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed this show. And guess where you are? You're with the De La Fit Podcast.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit Podcast.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the De La Fit Podcast. I have with me a brother who, first of all, I will say, got his whole aura on my scope with a challenge. Now, many of the challenges that are online, let's just take a couple seconds to talk about, aren't really worth it. And this brother caught my attention with what I would like to say a challenge, a 21-day challenge, which to me was like a sexual fast. Now I'm shooting this out, and this was for the brothers. This is purely for the brothers, and this struck me because it was some specifics to this, which I am not going to say I was able to actually complete, but I'm going to let the brother himself talk about the entire challenge himself. Introducing Brother JahSun. Brother JahSun, are you on the line?
Yeah, man, I'm here, brother. Peace.
Brother.
Nice to be here.
Brother. Let me just say that, first of all, I want to thank you. I do want to thank you for all the brothers out there who are trying to get deeper in touch with themselves, spiritually, mentally, and physically. And my belief, it is something that we need to do more of. It is something that we have to stop trying to deny within ourselves and blouse it over with machismo and other superficial elements. But I will say this, brother. brother. I mean, I just quote KRS-One. For the brothers like myself, the girls be looking so good, but daggone it, I wasn't ready, brother. All right, I want you.
You weren't alone.
I was there, brother. I was right there, brother. You know, and being that we are a health and fitness podcast, this all goes into it. So I want you to explain to the listeners what the 21-day challenge was about.
Sure. Well, first, you're welcome because you thanked me, and on behalf of yourself and all the kings out there, it was my pleasure. So the challenge was something that I do quite often, and it's called the 21-day semen retention challenge, which essentially means you are not having an ejaculation, or you are not watching porn. So in this challenge, I made them connected together. So no ejaculation, meaning no releasing of any sauce out of your body, and no porn for 21 whole days.
21 days. Don't seem like a lot. I just had to say that again, brother. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, listen, I had all kinds, man. So, it's something I do. I've been single and abstinent for 4 years now, and but I don't believe in being ready necessarily, but I do believe in being prepared.
Right.
So, as I am, preparing myself for my goddess queen, because I know she's out there in the ether, it's something important for me to practice now, and I've been practicing it, and so that I can show up into my next union. Able to hold space in a very powerful way with the goddess queen, right? So it has everything to do with willpower. It has everything to do with tearing down strongholds that many people in this matrix are unaware that they're even caught by. So it's something I just basically do. Now, 21 days is the minimum amount of time that it takes to break any habit. Conversely, 21 days is the amount of time that you allow your brain to create new neural pathways. So, for instance, when it comes to porn, what we don't realize is the brain becomes conditioned, and there's a lot of detrimental things that happen when we consume porn, like chemically in our body, and what it does on the stimulation level to our dopamine factors and the things that are released in our body. It really screws up not only our nervous system, but our neurotransmitter systems altogether. So we create pathways when we are consuming things like porn in our brain unconsciously. We don't realize it. So it takes 21 days for your brain to create new, healthier pathways. Since this is a podcast all about health, we've got to talk about mental, spiritual, emotional, physical, and financial health. All those things combined, that's a holistic being right there.
100%, brother, which is just what we're about here. So go ahead, continue. I'm sorry.
No, you're good. So 21 days of learning how to develop the willpower around having no ejaculation. And I'm big on distinction, so let's get really clear really quick about what I'm talking about. Because I'm a yogi, and this is an energy practice. This is not just baseline sexual practice. It's an energy practice and how to better accumulate and use the creative energy that we all have within us. See, we live in a world where we're feeding off so many external things that we don't realize that we are all powerful within ourselves. Like in one cell of our body is the electricity of the universe, man. So when you multiply that over trillions of cells, that we are a powerhouse. And it's really important to learn how to manipulate the energy that's within us so that it can directly affect our external reality as well, because there's no separation here. So, that just being able to control the sexual energies and apply them in different other areas of our life, like physically healing our body of sickness. Well, when we can retain that energy that we would normally release in an ejaculation, So just to get really nerdy really quick, like 1 drop of semen has the nutrients of like 1 or 2 pints of blood, which means it's a lot. So
Please repeat that, brother.
Yeah. So 1 drop of semen, I'm not talking about a full load, I'm talking about 1 drop, okay, has the amount of nutrients that you can find in 1 or 2 pints of blood, right? And blood circulates through our whole body with oxygen and all kinds of stuff in it. So every time you have an ejaculation or you're releasing that SAW, you're losing vital nutrients that could be being utilized in your body to heal, not just heal the cells of your body, but I'm talking about traumas and other things as well. I mean, healing is in totality here. Like you can't cap off what healing may look like to a being. So that's why when men have an ejaculation, brother, they roll over and fall asleep. And the women always, clowning the brothers like, oh, this cat just rolled over and started snoring.
Right.
Well, they don't realize why.
Right.
In our creative centers, in our lightning rods, right, in our penis and our lingam is the power to literally create empires. So when we release that 2 and 3 and 4 times a day, haphazardly, then we wonder why we don't have the energy to create and build the life that we want and put our attention in complete projects and so on and so on and so on.
Right.
There's another really important correlation to why it's really important to like hold your semen in if you're a man. And you can look at it best by looking at children. Children are almost always happy.
Yep.
So we're talking mental health here too. So what happens is if you look at children, I'm 49. I don't know what your age is, brother, but we come out of the womb and we're infants for a while, and then we're toddlers, and then we're adolescents, and then we grow into adults. But there is this period from the time we come out of the womb till about 11 or 12, depending on where you are and like what your diet is, when puberty starts to hit in. But up until that time, from the womb, I'll say 10 years old. Generally, kids are pretty happy. They're just pretty happy, happy-go-lucky. An interesting thing happens when we start to become aware of our sexual organs and we start doing things like masturbation at a young age and consuming porn at a young age. Our mood changes. And then you raise kids, and then I'm a single parent, so I raised my son.
All right.
And great till about 13, and then the cat just started flipping on me. Moody, irritable, didn't want to say good morning, and it was all in correlation to when he started masturbating and doing things that he was doing out there, So there's this real big correlation to when you start to release that semen out of your body, that you have less energy, you actually become a whole lot less of a happy person.
Right.
So for the mental health part, if you can keep that energy flowing and circulating inside you, you are just generally a happy person. And if you checked out my Instagram feed specifically, and if anyone's listening that's known me for years, I'm always for the most part happy, which does not mean life is perfect in my realm. It is not. It's completely challenging. And I have the energy to look at things differently, laugh things off, and move through my challenges a whole lot easier than most people.
It's interesting that you were talking about your son at age 13, and I will say, first of all, we're gonna backstep just a little bit, because I was so excited about this interview. I didn't get a chance for people to even know more about your background. So, and we're gonna get into all that. But you reminded me of something my father used to tell me. All right, when I was younger, he used to say, "Puberty is the introduction to the spirit man to its carnal self." And I was young and I would hear it, and a lot of things you're telling me, to me, I was blessed. I had some very, very intuitive and grounded parents. But for me, getting older, I'm like, wow, now I'm starting to really comprehend what it is they're saying, as far as everything. So when you're saying this, it takes me right back to home, growing up with them. And I'm 38. So for me, I understand what you're saying. Let's take it back for a second. Let's tell the people a little bit about your background, all right, where you're from, and what it is that you do.
Sure. Ooh, man, that's a whole nother long story in itself. So I'll keep it short.
Time.
Yeah, respect. My name is JahSun. I am born and originated from New Jersey and left Jersey around 18 and joined the military and saw half of the world and got married really young, had started a family, and that's where, I referenced my son earlier. And by age 13, I had already, by the time he was 13, I raised him as a single parent. In addition to that, I am an international professional artist, and my artwork has traveled all around the world. In addition to that, I started playing Native American flute a few years ago, and so my healing music has traveled all around the world. It's on iTunes and other places as such. I've done everything from large-scale murals. I've done children's books that have been nominated for NAACP Image Awards, and so on and so on. My most recent accomplishment is I became certified as a life coach because in addition to the business that I run full-time, which keeps me quite busy, I also work part-time for government and have for the last 17 years. So I'm a master trainer there. And, I'm an employee coach, so I basically just went and got my certification because it's a very strong passion of mine. I coach executive leaders down to frontline employees, people that are in levels of position and power in the company, and so on and so on. So in addition to all of the art stuff I do, I'm also an empowerment coach mentor. And what that means is, I help people that are interested in transforming their lives from the inside out. It's not a quick transformation, but it's a lasting one. So it's interesting, this challenge. I've never done a challenge like this, but I felt led to by spirit, to invite other men to join the challenge. And a lot of what I do basically on the government job, coaching and mentoring people, is exactly what I did in this challenge. And sky's the limit. I'm really just kind of getting started at 49. I just recently applied for a TED Talk because they're interested in maybe potentially having me speak about PTSD because I started a podcast, which is also international. And a lot of people reach me on the daily about how to heal their, trauma from their past. So, I hold a lot of space for a lot of people in the world, and I feel privileged to be able to do it.
Brother, let me just take the time to say I'm smiling over here because one thing that made me want to do this podcast is I like to talk to other people who are passionate about what it is they do. And your passion, it reaches through the screen. It reaches through social media, and it reaches through your words. So we're so glad to have you here. Also, I want to say to you, now going back a little bit now to the 21-day semen retention challenge. So, brother, I have to tell you, for myself, a single man of myself, I work out much every day, all right? And I was like, I saw it, and I was like, I'm with it. I think yes, I need this for physical, mental, spiritual. Yes, I'm with this. I'm so with this. And everybody out there listening, I want you to pay close attention to every word I say. I said I was with this. And then day 1, boom, I'm good. I feel good. I feel strong. Day 3, I feel good. I feel great. I feel strong. I think they'll say day 3. I meant day 2. Day 3, same thing. Feeling strong. Day 4.5. Oh man, I can't sleep.
Yeah.
What's going on? I can't really. I'm irritable. And then out of nowhere, bloop, pink. I got sent a picture from a sister. And brother, I was with you. Brother. I was with the Lions. I was rowing with y'all. And then next thing I know, I was like, I'm weak. And I don't mind telling everybody this. I had a moment of weakness. All right. But and I'm being honest. But the whole thing of it was I was like, I know it needs to be done. I know it's something I will do because my mind is set on it. But it opened me up to so many other thoughts, your challenge. And the thoughts that came to me, one was the fact of the reason why. The reason why. It wasn't really the fact of a love or what was really needed. It was the fact of I wanted human contact of that. And it's almost in a sense almost like when somebody's eating but they're not hungry.
Yep.
You know, so
you're doing something, but you don't know why.
Exactly. You know, well, I'm gonna say I knew why. I mean, but at the same time, I know that this wasn't a loving relationship. It was just what it is for both of us.
Yeah.
You know, nothing against the sister, never disrespect, none of that. But we both knew exactly what that was. All right.
Sure. We understand it.
So, you know, the challenge actually made me open up more for myself. But my question I think I sent to you was also, now that going through this change of, all right, let's pull back and really get into my inner self.
Right.
Trying to deal with communicating that to a sister, you know, or I say to a woman, you know, in general, or whoever, you know, whatever the significant other, because we don't exclude, but you know, how to communicate that, because I know how it is when I communicate it at times to a sister, you know, or when I'm like, listen, you know, not really right now, and it's instantly a moment of they feel offended.
Sure.
You know, and
sure.
So could you talk a little bit about that?
Yes. And thank you for teeing that up, because I'd like to share, if I can, an experience that I had, which really kind of blew the lid on this. Like I said, I have been doing these challenges just privately and personally for years now. But I remember when I dissolved the relationship I had in the past. It was, you know, I'm a Leo. This person was an Aries. And if you know anything about the sexual compatibility, man, our pelvises were always rubbing and hitting and making sparks. And when I dissolved that relationship with this queen, I kid you not, and I don't want to be dramatic, but I have to be honest. Brother, I had cold sweats. And for like the first 7 days, you would have thought that I was drying out from a crack addiction. And I kid you not, I couldn't sleep. I was tossing and turning. I was waking up in cold sweats. And I mean, you know, erections like none I've ever had before. And it was just detox. And that's when my third eye became open to that stronghold. Just how, you know, we didn't have too much more compatibility than that, honestly, you know, looking back at it. But that was it. And a lot of people are there, you know, so it was really important for me to break that. And I had to come up with reasons why I wanted to break that. One, it was just about simple awareness. So the challenge, in essence, depending, because I had guys from all over the world and they were all in different places in their development. Some guys were just like, yo, like this was like, you know, a macho challenge. They fell off real quick, you know, and then others were like, I really don't know how to like turn inwardly and check in with me. And then other guys were like, yo, JahSun, I've been doing this for the last 6 years. So there was a myriad of different people there. So it was really just an introductory way to point guys back into themselves.
Right.
You know, and so, and to realize how dependent we are on that, on an unconscious level, how dependent we are on that sexual connection, whether it means like, you know, we're trying to get married or we're just trying to have some fun.
Right.
And so that was really the first thing. It was just about peeling back the onion, you know, just peeling it back. So even if, like you said earlier, like I didn't complete the challenge, I fell off, and I had guys falling off in day 2, JahSun, I got to reset. And I was like, yo, get back up. You know, the challenge is not over until you quit.
Right.
You know?
Right.
And that's just how I view life, you know. So it's about awakening. If you slipped up 3 times in 21 days, but you learned some things about yourself that you didn't realize before, son, you won. I mean, you won. You crushed the challenge, in my view. It's about awakening, because a lot of people are sleepwalking, man. They're here, but they don't know what they're doing stuff, and they don't know why.
That's true.
It's just to open you up, you know. And I challenge the men, you know, to come up with your key motivators. Like when you set a goal, and I talked about this on one of my first Instagram lives when we started the challenge. Like when you set a goal, you know, you got this big goal in mind. And one of the reasons why people don't usually ever make and reach their goal is because they don't know the why behind the goal, like the deeper reason why. Like So you have to be able to craft language. You have to first understand your why, right? And then your why serves as fuel. So I'll give you this example. Like I'm here in Charleston right now, Charleston, South Carolina. And a couple of weeks ago, we had to like run from Florence. So we all went down to my mother's in Orlando.
Okay.
So from Charleston to Orlando, just see that in your mind, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I already know because I've taken the trip. It's about 6 hours, and I already know how many times my car is going to need to stop and refuel. In our case, it was three times. So I know Brunswick, Georgia. I know somewhere out just outside of Jacksonville. And just before I hit Orlando, I got to fuel up.
Okay.
So the goal is Orlando, and each one of the fueling stations is what I call a little milestone, right?
Okay.
But in between that, the fuel is your key motivator. Your key motivator gets you to the first milestone. Your key motivator gets you to the second one and the third one and so on until you reach your goal. It's the fuel to your automobile. So your key motivator is your why. Why do I want this? And learning how to discover that for yourself is each one of our own work. But back to your question about how to communicate that to other people when you're asking for support. If you can't explain if you don't understand your why, if you're not fortified in your why, then it's going to be nearly impossible to explain it to a person in a way that you can garner their support. Because otherwise, if you do it poorly, they will feel rejected. They will tempt you even more. So you have got to say, not like, I just don't want to have an ejaculation for 21 days. That's whack. What you have to say is, I feel it's important for me to take this fast for myself to better enhance my relationship with me so that I can show up more powerfully for you. At the end of this 21-day challenge, I expect to be transformed in these 3 simple ways. And I would really, truly, deeply appreciate your support. If you love me today, Mama, 21 days from now, it's going to be on and popping like never before. So if you want deeper intimacy with me, if you want deeper levels of communication, if you want to feel like it's just me and you in a room full of 1,000 people, I need to do this challenge. Right. Because I'm ready to change. And this isn't a topical change. This is something I intend to continue doing, being more of an attentive listener, more of a selfless lover. Like 21 days, when you sell it right, 21, you'd be like, for 21 months. Like, if that's what I get at the end, but if you're not clear to your why, it will be absolutely 1, hard to stick to it. 2, hard to communicate that out to anybody that's significant in your life and get their full support.
Right.
So, we're in this world and this mind in our world today that what's in it for me? From a business owner, I know that when I'm releasing anything, program, a challenge, a product, a new track, or anything, I have got to be able to communicate what's in it for that person. Otherwise, they're not interested. I can tell my story all day. I got to be able to tell my story and tell them what's the benefit for them. And then they consume. So when you are communicating with your partner, you want to be able to, do it in a way that lets them know this is what's in it for you if you can support me now. So I kind of seeing the forest through the trees.
I can comprehend what you're saying, dealing with when I'm working with clients, because as a physical trainer, it's the biggest thing is always getting them to see what we're doing and why, as you're saying. So it's, if they're like, why do I have to do burpees? Nobody really likes burpees. Why? I hate burpees. Burpees are the worst thing in the world. Why must I do it? Why are you torturing me? I'm like, because you have an end goal, and your end goal is to be more athletic, or is to be more, have better cardiovascular system, or is to get, or shed some weight. So I understand just what it is.
You can go deeper than that. For someone like me, I have 4 grandkids.
Okay.
So the reason why we're doing this training is so that you can run around in the yard with your grandkids without having to sit down, and you can be active with them. You can even go further than that from the cell. How do you imagine your life being? Imagine not being on any medications at 60 years old.
Right.
Imagine going to be able to see the world on your retirement and not have your knees all aching and crying out and your back all tore up because, there's a lot of different ways. When you get people to imagine what their life could be like,
exactly,
they're in.
Exactly. Now,
Yeah.
JahSun, I have to ask you this question also from another another perspective, which is, again, back to the challenge. So after the 21 days, all right, because I'm going to be honest, one of the other things I was focusing on is the fact of, and I might have touched on it briefly, is my emotional needs.
Yeah.
Which I think as a man, we tend to neglect. All right? I think we tend to neglect them. I want to say this in just the right way because I don't want to offend any of our listeners. I feel like it is more popular for women to address their emotional needs than men.
Totally.
All right? I feel like,
pretty accurate.
You know, that's something that is made, how do I say? I want to say the right way. That's something that is encouraged more so for women than men. And I appreciate to you, that's what I'm really trying to get to, appreciate the fact that it was like somebody was coming out and saying, listen, you got emotions too. You got an inside to you. You're not a robot. Let's deal with this. Come on.
Yep.
Let's deal with this. We're going to do it this way. And we're going to take a challenge. You know, in the sense I'm saying, it felt masculine, but it felt nurturing. So it's like, we're going to do this all as a group, brothers. We all going to do this. You know, we're not going to go out and do the, what is it, kiki, whatever it is, whatever. I don't know. But, you know, shout out. We ain't hating on no more. Shout out to Drake. But it was a grown man challenge. It was a brother to brother challenge and help. It was building. It was, like you said, it was mentoring. It was each one teach one. You know, so that's something I feel like we need more of. And why do you think it's not taught or approached as much in today's society?
Sure, I can tell you exactly why. All right, so think about it, and you may have had this experience or you have heard of it. So think about when a boy starts to turn 2 or 3 and he gets his first little tricycle and he's riding around on a tricycle. Then it elevates to a little bit of a bigger bike, but it's got the training wheels on it, feel me? And then it's time, lo and behold, for the training wheels to come off. That day has arrived.
Right.
And the boy's on the bike, and the man is behind the boy, and the man pushes the child off, and he starts to pedal, and the next thing you know, bam, he wipes out.
Right.
Skins up his knees and everything.
Right.
The child pops up and starts to cry. And what are some of the societal methods that we're taught when those things happen? What are some of the things you may have heard? Cry.
Tough it out. You all right?
Tough it out.
You know,
you all right?
Walk it off.
Shake it up. Walk it off.
Right.
Be a man. Right?
Right.
And the child is 4. But here's the thing. That's the first time that we are taught to suppress our feelings as men, as boys. And the cycle just perpetuates. Now, I talked about this in one of the Instagram lives in the group. It's like, everyone is talking about their IQ. But right now, that's the least most important thing in my view. It's our emotional intelligence, our ability to tap in and find out what's going on with us, why that's going on for us, and then craft language around it. I'm feeling very afraid right now, and here's the reason why. Like, and being able to go and talk to the queen about that. Or talk to a family member about that, or your best friend about that. It's like we are not celebrated for knowing how to, one, tap into our feelings because we've been suppressed from like 3 and 4 years old not to do that.
Right.
Okay?
Right.
Women are not. Girls are not. And there's some physiology that women have more nose to their emotional centers than men do. So we're always a little bit behind the 8 ball. But we really have to start to practice our emotional intelligence. Now, one of the interesting things that happened in the challenge is when we got past the first milestone, the first 7 days, man, men were hitting me up saying, JahSun, like the veil had come off. Some of them had forgotten they had sexual traumas. It had been covered over. And I had gotten hundreds of messages because I thought it was going to be like 4 or 5 men doing this challenge with me. It ended up being 1,500 plus men from around the world doing this challenge with me in my DMs all day. And I'm sending them video messages and all back. Actually, they can see my face. They can hear my tone of voice. These guys are saying, I forgot I was molested at this age. I forgot this happened here. I completely forgot that this happened. Because you lock it down in a vault. That's what happens when you have trauma. So when they weren't distracted, when the veil came off and they were able to return back into their bodies, when they gave themselves permission to go back into their bodies, they uncovered traumas that they forgot were there. So now it's an invitation to go back and do that healing work. You know, I'm all about healing. I don't care what I'm up to. You can see it from the very first painting I did in 2003 to now. I am always talking about doing that inner healing work because you are never going to be at your best. I don't care what your gender is. You are never going to be at your best if you don't go back in and do that healing work. So that's what that empowerment is all about. That's what that transformation comes from. Transformation comes from the heart, which means you got to be in your heart.
Now, let me ask you this. Define, for individuals out there, define trauma, because everybody has one or is different. Because I know there are things that were traumatic to me that, you know, might not be considered the same for somebody else. So define trauma.
Sure. Trauma is now. We're just talking about the brain and the subconscious mind specifically. And the best way that I can explain it is, imagine that your mind is like a record player, like a record on a record player. Okay, like old school record player. So you got the needle, and you remember all the little grooves. Those are those neural pathways that that are created, you know, in our course of our life. So when you have a trauma, it's like the needle on that record getting stuck, or there's a scratch on the record, and the needle just keeps getting stuck in that one place. Now, trauma could be sexual. I know people who almost drowned and will never get back in the pool. I know people that are scared of a chihuahua because they were bitten by a dog when they were 3. Like, we cannot ever invalidate anyone's trauma. It's just a sticking point in their unconscious, subconscious mind that they have not resolved. That's in its simplest, most easiest way. That's what a trauma is. If you get fired from a job, it could be traumatic. If you get clowned and laughed at in high school, somebody pulls your pants down in the hallway, and back in the day what we used to do is grab people's underwear and pull them up over their head, like anything.
Dancing them and all that. I remember those.
Yeah.
Right.
Anything like that could be traumatic. It doesn't have to be a sexual assault or rape. It could be a car accident. You could see somebody dying. That could be traumatic. Like a family member that's important to you dying unexpectedly could be a traumatic thing. I had some surgery I had. Some women have a challenging birth, and it's traumatic for them. Like, you can never try to label or define what somebody else's trauma is. Like, it's all valid. If it's an area that's keeping you stuck, it's unresolved, you tuck it away and try to pretend it didn't happen, that's trauma of some kind.
Right. Because, again, one thing, and I'm dealing with myself, one thing that has remained in my life is the fact of I'm gonna, I'm being honest with everybody out there. I have large trust issues, extremely large trust issues. I mean, if there was a wall big, there's a wall big inside. All right, bigger than China. All right, so and it comes from my own experiences with the opposite gender. Which I don't want to say I struggle with, but it's kind of like dealing with the duality of the fact of I wouldn't be partly where I am now if I hadn't have gotten or been through those experiences. But they're not experiences that I would say I care for. They didn't help me. They weren't motivating experiences. To say the least. They inspired because I was like, no, never again. but
Right.
they weren't motivating in that sense, and they could, in another sense, be debilitating. So, dealing with the challenge, I can understand what you're saying as far as, you know, these certain things start to come up and be unearthed, because, again, truthfully, for me, it was like, you know, what do I really want? You know, is it really the fact of I want this physical contact, which on the carnal side, yes, I did. I'm like, yeah. You know, on the other side, it's like, you know, no, it's something more that you're looking for. You're looking, you know, for like somebody to be like, yo, it's all right, in a sense, you know. So that's kind of like what was going on there.
We all want things, you know, and I feel really blessed to be able to be intuitive enough to be able to read between the writing on most all behavior, you know, to see it and be like, that's a cry for help, or there's something else going on there, and like look further than that. And just to be clear, I am not in any way saying I'm very tactile. I'm super affectionate. I love the cuddle, right? So I think that's a basic human need. You know, there have been studies saying that, you know, children need 12 to 10 hugs a day, and adults need like 4. So think about how long we go in our life without like a deep hug. And I ain't talking about that church hug where you half in, half out. I'm talking about a real hug, non-sexual, deep hug. You know, like we need that at least 4 times a day as an adult. Think how many you had this month. I mean, it's the early part of the month, and you probably haven't had 4 since this month started. You know, so the need for tactile touch and affection is what makes us human. So first off, there's no shame in that. You know, and it's also a beautiful thing to better understand the deeper workings of why I need that. You know, maybe there is a trauma that is unresolved. You know, maybe there was some abandonment issues. You know, maybe there is some trust issues that I'm still working through. And the one thing I would like to circle back and say, brother, is like, this has been my experience. Like, the things that have really leaped me forward in life were the things that hurt the absolute most.
Yes.
Things that I went through that were just, I can't say anything short of traumatic, but it's those things that make you who you are. Like, think about the hard times versus the good times. Good times, you're not challenged, you're not pushed forward in any way, you're comfortable, you're content, you know, just kind of plotting along. But it's like when you are down and out, when you're in that valley, you can't find a way out. You know, those are the things that like are shaping who you are.
Perpetuate you forward.
Yep. Yeah. So they're all necessary, man. There's not an ounce, there's not 1 second of my life that I would change. Not 1 second. Because if I mess with that timeline in any minute way, we wouldn't be on this phone right now.
That's true.
I wouldn't be the man I am today. So all those hardships, brother, those are the things that I embrace the most. I'm not going out there looking for them. You know, the way I have already set my life up to be in my past life is already set up. You know what I'm saying? All I got to do is walk into them, and they're going to be there. But it's really important to honor all of the journey. You know, not just the highlights, all of it.
That's true. That's true.
Mm-hmm.
So my next question to you is, what's next? What is next? When is the next challenge? Will there be another challenge? What? I heard that in the background. Like, So come on, brother. I mean, come on. You got our attention. You got our attention. We're all here. I mean, we're paying. But I know what's going to take place, first of all, after this. All right? I know after we get and put this podcast out, I know individuals are going to be like, Brother JahSun, I need some brother. So
I'll be there. I'll be there whole space. Man.
What's
it's
next?
Beautiful that you asked. We have the next challenge, and this is, you know, I'll tell you, I just need to say this because, you know, as a creative and as a visionary person, I've always been creative. I've always been had my hands in something. Mm-hmm. And I just let spirit just guide me. And for anyone who may be stuck on what their life purpose is, this is something I want to share with you really quick. It's like, you know, we can feel that we're great at something.
Right.
But the universe may have a whole different plan. So all I can say to you is, you know, allow the universe to help you pick your niche, whatever that may be. Let the universe guide you to your niche. So this is what I mean. But I wasn't planning to do this challenge. I literally, on September 3rd, I was home on a holiday because I was working government, but I was off that day. I was just talking out loud. I live alone. I just talk to Spirit like I'm talking to you right now. The Spirit, I got a 21-day loop starts tomorrow. And then Spirit instantly said, why don't you invite some brothers to join you?
Right.
And I did the video, and boom, that was it. Like I had planned nothing. And mad successful, you know, all these men showed up and a lot of healing happened.
Right.
So I didn't expect to be doing this, all that to say.
Okay.
And I already got a wait list of brothers and sisters that want to do this with me, because I had to literally set up a whole Instagram page and make it private because there was so many women trying to get in on this challenge.
Right.
And I'm like, even though I articulated in every language I could, this is for men only because we don't have any real healing spaces.
Exactly.
We need space. We need our space. Like, wait, you know, I believe in doing inner healing work. And if you're in partnership with that, looks like is you communicating, like, yo, I got to go in this deep cave. I'm going to be back in a minute. And then that partner stands outside the cave, making sure you're not interrupted by anybody externally. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So I was like, I had to put up this gate and say, sisters, I'm just please hold the perimeter. We are in here doing something right now. So there's a big need for women to do this as well, because it's not just about men. So that being said, working very hard right now to launch another challenge, November 7th, the new moon. It's a very important time to create something new and special. So I already got over 300 people on this wait list.
Wow.
So if you go to my challenge page or my Faristudios Art page on Instagram, you'll see the link there. You can join the wait list. It is going to be powerful. So the first one, showed up every day and supported the men the best I could. I was leaving for a hurricane and some stuff was going on. My son got a blood clot in his leg while we were traveling. Yeah, a lot of stuff was going on. But this challenge, this next one, is going to be co-ed. So for the kings and the queens, the goddesses and the gods. And it's going to be on a platform that they can log into anywhere in the world. There's going to be so much great content. And it will be another 21-day challenge.
All right.
I have enlisted two very powerful practitioners. One to support the women on their journey. So she's going to be explaining sexual aspects of the woman anatomy, different types of orgasms that a woman can have, why a woman wants to refrain from having a peak orgasm, because, of course, women don't have semen, but they still energetically have the same type of orgasm. Men just have something coming out of their body. Women have the same release on an energetical level. So it's really called a peak orgasm.
Okay.
So the next challenge is going to invite women to do that. And there's herbs and supplements and there's meditation practices. So my Kundalini teacher, who is like an Ayurvedic master, has also decided to support this initiative because he saw all the powerful things that were going on. So we have access to some of his training library, and all this stuff is going to be on this platform. And this time, it's going to be a paid challenge. We're going to have to charge a nominal fee for people to get into this one because I have a platform and I have people that I am paying for their time and their services and their energy, and they are powerful healers. It's not going to be a lot, but it's going to be something. And it's really important that we learn how to invest in our development.
Very true.
It is critical.
Very true.
What happens is, if I had to slice it and dice it, probably half the men went all the way without fail with me. Then I had probably the other half of the men that stumbled or whatever, and there's no judgment either way. It's all perfect. But now it's time to get a little bit more serious. Now it's time to separate the wheat and the tare. If you're really trying to transform your life, you need to be on this next challenge. It is going to be powerful. We have bonus videos. We're going to be doing some full moon releases. Anybody that's listening to this podcast, you owe it to yourself to join this next challenge.
Brother JahSun, I thank you for being here at the De La Fit Podcast, for sharing your information, your energy. Please let the listeners know where they can contact you, your social media, your email. Let them know, because I know, because I'm interested, and I'm interested.
Come back.
You know, I'm definitely interested. And yes, and you know what? I'm excited. So let's start from number one. Let the people know where they can contact you.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. So my primary official website is faristudiosart, and I'll spell that faristudiosart. So again, that's faristudiosart.com. That's my official website. There's a contact page there. You can always hit me there. You can always email me at faristudiosart@gmail.com. Again, that's spelled faristudiosart. faristudiosart@gmail.com. My rule of thumb is to respond within 24 hours or less. So if you hit me up, you will hear back from me. Also, my primary hub, my favorite platform right now is Instagram. I have, I think, about 18,000 beautiful souls that are journeying with me there. And we have a loving, supportive, group. So if you really want day-to-day, elbow-to-elbow interaction with me, you want to be on my Instagram. And again, that's faristudiosart at Instagram.com. So I don't know how you're going to disseminate this out, brother, but I can make sure that you have all my links as well. I appreciate if you would, push those forward to your tribe. That would help me a lot.
We're definitely gonna push on the De La Fit Podcast Instagram page. We're gonna post that information up so that everyone can contact this brother and really make use of the information. Make use of this important information, which is gonna help make you a better person. Help make you the person that you want to be. A lot of us talk right now about being the strongest version of ourselves, being the best version of ourselves. Well, it's time to stop the bullshit. It's time to stop making the excuses and put your money where your mouth is. No pun intended, but, look, how many of us out there like, oh, I'm going to purchase this? How many of us would, I need to do this? Look, what's the most important investment outside of you? Yourself. So it's time to put that time and that work in. Brother JahSun, you and I definitely, I want you back on the show again, all right? Also, you mentioned you're a yogi. I have more things to discuss with you, all right, dealing with that as well. But that's for another time and another space. I want to thank you for being on the De La Fit Podcast. Everybody, you know how we do it always.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit Podcast.
The De La Fit Podcast is brought to you by supporters like you. If you like what you heard today, please like, follow, share, and subscribe to the De La Fit Podcast. We're here because of listeners like you.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit Podcast.
Shout out to the brother JahSun for coming on to the show and sharing some much needed information with us here. For my brothers out there, and when I say brothers, I make no dissemination, I make no separation. You are my brother if you are about being positive and progressing and trying to be the best possible person you can be. If you're about the truth, if you're about being positive, if you're about progressing, then it makes no difference your ethnicity. It makes no difference your cultural identity. All right, you're my brother. So with that being said, we need this information. We need to share this information. We need to talk about this information because to me it's highly overlooked that men need healing inside. It's talked about gradually, but I don't think it's promoted. And I think we're looked at more as superficial beings when it's not that way. The Creator didn't make any type of imbalance. Human beings create imbalance within ourselves and within the world. That's my belief. So, in saying that, we need to heal inside as well. We are, again, it's my firm believer, we are providers, we are supporters, we are protectors, but we need to be provided for, we need to be protected, and we also need to be supported as well. This is the first step. And the first step in doing this is to do this for yourself before somebody else can do it for you. But we need to do this. We need to make and take the first steps forward. And brother JahSun, I appreciate you for sharing this information because it is not popular. It's not popular. I mean, come on now. What we're talking about when you break it down to basics is a sexual fast. People don't even want to stop eating, let alone stop having sex. So, but there's a reason for it. Like you said, there's a why. And when you deal with the why, that allows you to progress. That's definitely what it is. So, shout out to brother JahSun again, for that. And we appreciate you immensely. And we're going to have him back on the show. Next up, dropping the jewels.
It's time for dropping the jewels.
What's going on, everybody? We're here, and you know what time it is. That's right. It's time to drop the jewels. And probably right now, you're probably hearing that little segue, dropping the jewels thing come in and say, dropping the jewels, which makes it all awesome because, that's what we do. We make it all awesome here at the De La Fit Podcast. And joining us, someone that hasn't been here in a long time. That's right. We thought she forgot about us, but she came back. The lovely, the snarky, Miss Brittany Noel. Brittany, how you doing?
I am good. I could never forget about you guys. I'm just living my Cali life. That's all.
See?
There's always room for you on the East Coast.
You see how she just sticks us with it? Living the Cali life. She's like, all this nice
sunshine here.
Really?
I'm outside a lot of times. It might rain tomorrow, though. That might be like the first rain of fall. Possibly. They told that lie 2 weeks ago.
For real. I love how you just keep jabbing us with just like, I think it might rain. Maybe. Not really certain. All this beautiful fresh air and palm trees. Life is good. Really? Really? That's
I just wish I could actually see fall leaves here. Everything's just green here. I don't even know what color fall leaves are, really.
Anyway, now we're getting back to it. Miss Noel. All right, so everybody out there, we're talking about, we're in the fall, Halloween is coming, candy's coming. For those that have children, we know everybody's going to run around, Mommy, Dad, Pop, whatever, Granny, Guardian, whoever you call. I want some candy. And we all love candy. I know I love candy. So, Miss Noel, what can we do to, to keep our sanity? I mean, what can we do as a tasty substitute for all those really bad empty calories?
Yeah, so there's a couple things that I'd like to do. If you have a crock pot, you can use that to make a lot of fun treats. One recipe that I just found is crock pot apples. You can actually take yourself some apples. Green is going to be the best option because they have less sugar, but they're also the least fun. So I'm not opposed to using red apples. And you basically just cut the top off. You can take out the core by using a quarter, and then you can put in the inside cinnamon in there. You can put some honey in there if you want to. You can put nuts in there, and you just put it in a crock pot and it cooks down. There's a bunch of recipes on Pinterest on how to do this, so that's a fun snack. If you don't have a crock pot, you can also roast apples with cinnamon, honey, and things like that. That's fun.
Ooh,
Other things that I do. There are a lot of ways to infuse protein into your snacks. So I like to make cookies. So sometimes I'll do pumpkin cookies at this time of year. And there are lots of gluten-free options. If you have that, you can also infuse your cookies with protein powder to make them have a little protein. So they're still not healthy, but they are definitely healthier to do it that way. Other things I like to do, I'll do Trader Joe's has pumpkin butter, and I'm pretty sure that it's not good to eat the entire jar, but it is delicious. So I like to have pumpkin butter whenever possible, so I'll put that on apples, or I'll dip anything in it, honestly. It's really good.
It's
yeah, it's really good. So, and it's not a butter. Like, you think butter, you think it's something spreadable, but it's kind of the consistency of jam, almost. And they have like an apple butter and a pumpkin butter, so I like to use that as a nice sticky thing. Also, if you have like a sweet potato and you cook that down and you want to put the pumpkin butter in there, it kind of makes this like bootleg sweet potato pie type feeling, like bootleg pumpkin pie type. Yeah.
Bootleg pumpkin pie? Really?
It's like, it doesn't taste as delicious, but it gives you those flavors where you feel like it. Something. Other thing, I am definitely, I'd say I'm a fun trainer in the sense of I'm very realistic. So I'm not going to be like, hey, don't have candy for Halloween, because it's not going to happen. But I can give you tips on better candy habits for Halloween. You want those. So, if you don't have kids, not have fun-sized candy in your house. Step one.
I don't have that in my house. I don't have
Live. Everyone, I guarantee you, because I've done it too. You go and you're like, oh, this is great. I'm going to get the fun-sized version of my favorite one, and I'll have like one. Live. What ends up happening is you pass by that bucket or bag of fun-sized candies, and you end up eating multiple amounts throughout the day. So you might like grab one on your way to work, grab one when you get back from work, grab one before bed. It's super easy, and you'll lose track of how many of them you've had. You're almost better off just buying yourself a full-size candy and eating that, because at least you're only going to eat it one time. So you should avoid buying fun-size candy. Don't buy it. Just buy the full-size candy. If you have kids, then, you know, I don't want your kids to be deprived of candy, but try to put it somewhere that's out of sight, that is, you know, in the pantry or somewhere, so that at least it's somewhere that if your child asks for it, you have to go get it, as opposed to it being in plain sight, because then you and your child are going to be much more likely to eat more of it throughout the day. Now, I do support if you are out and about and you're like at the doctor's office or whatever, and you see your fun-size candy, eat that candy. Fine. Just don't keep it in your house.
So, basically, keep the candy outside if you're going outside.
That's right. Don't bring it inside. That's just the easiest way to keep you on track. And if you must have candy, just buy the full-size candy, because at least mentally you can understand, like, shoot, I just ate a giant Snickers bar, as opposed to, dang, did I really just have 10 fun-size Snickers bars? Easy to do. I've done it. No shame. Mini peanut butter M&Ms? Oh, yes. Definitely eating the whole thing from the 99-cent store. You get that, like, 6-pack.
Wait.
The whole in one day.
Wait.
Three times you don't know about this. I should have probably not told you.
Did that just happen? Did that just happen?
Okay, spoiler, at the 99-cent store and the dollar store, you can get, like, a pack of fun-sized candies. There's usually about 6 to 10 M&Ms in those, or, like, Snickers, and they're $1. So it's really bad, because if you're there, you buy one thinking, oh, this is going to last me a week. Last day, people. Don't fall into the trap. It's cheap and accessible. No.
Brittany, what? I'm sorry.
I'm giving them the real lowdown here. I told you guys, I don't BS. I'm real about my life. That's real.
I'm sorry.
It happens. It happens to fitness people too.
Oh my God.
Get my size, okay?
Brittany, what? For people who are sorry, she totally threw me off, y'all. I really didn't expect that. It got real. God, Brittany, what can we do for ourselves as adults? All right, who we're eating all the candy. What type of exercises or activities can we do that are fun to kind of burn off the our little bit of our candy mayhem for the trick-or-treating day? What can we do?
Do what's in your wheelhouse, first of all. So if you are a runner, then go run. If you need a buddy, then this is a good time of year to maybe find yourself a workout buddy, someone that you can either commit to going to the gym before work or after work, or even having like a weekend workout group. Another fun thing that I've seen parents do is that a few weeks before it's time to trick-or-treat, they'll kind of have these walk groups where they get together, they go on walks and exploring the neighborhoods that they might potentially want to take their kids trick-or-treating. And it's just a fun way to explore different neighborhoods, get a good walk in, see the creative houses, so that's fun. You can obviously always do things in your house. So squats, lunges, push-ups are always things that you can do anywhere, anytime. I'm a big advocate of those three. If you have something that you can step onto safely, do those step-ups. You don't even need a jump rope if you want to do cardio. You can literally just jump in place if you don't have any gait issues or anything like that. You can airbox as a way of burning calories. There's a lot of different ways that you can stay active. It's just more of a mindset in determining how much time you have that day. Is it effective for you to go to the gym or work out from home? And again, are you a self-starter? Can you do it by yourself, or do you need a buddy or a trainer to hold you accountable?
As always, the amazing Ms. Brittany Noel, giving it to us straight.
Thanks. Well,
no chaser. Dropping the jewels.
Well, okay. Another thing that I do personally is I feel like I have to earn my candy or my sweet. I don't have a huge sweet tooth, but another vice of mine, I love Oktoberfest, that whole celebration.
Yeah.
You guys know about Oktoberfest? There's some fun treats. So I like to partake in the drinks and food. So if I'm going to partake in Oktoberfest foods or drinks, that day I have to earn exercise points. So that means I either need to have worked out for 30 minutes to an hour, or I need to have done a run. And if I've done both, my cardio and my strength training, then I can have, a bonus treat. But I try to stick with that of kind of earning your calories. So if I know I'm going to go somewhere more fun to watch football, for instance, football season 2, that messes with your diet.
Go
I always
Eagles.
make sure I either lost, yes, really won yesterday.
Go
Wait.
Eagles.
Right, go Eagles. Work out for your Eagles game. So wake up, go run, do a couple sit-ups, push-ups, squats, lunges, whatever you want to do. Do your little workout, then go enjoy your day. Or if you have the discipline to do it when you get back, you can do that as well. So don't beat yourself up if you do, have a fun treat or whatever. That's fine. Just note it and be like, what can I do to be proactive about this? Burn some extra calories.
So basically, it sounds like you're saying just keep in mind what it is that you're intaking and do the things necessary to burn off those calories. Don't let them add up.
Exactly. And don't have the, excuse my language, the fuck it mentality. People will start off in the morning, right? They make a few bad decisions. Maybe you had a couple of candies. Maybe you had too many mimosas, and then they just go, fuck it. My whole day is messed up. I might as well eat terrible the rest of the day. Don't do that. It's never too late in your day to start making better decisions. And I feel like that's where people get into this holiday season rut, is they make a few mistakes every day, and then they just go, fuck it. I'm not going to do it anymore. I'll start in the new year. Yeah.
Sounds almost like a downward slope, almost like a kind of a depression thing that starts to kick in.
It is. And, with the winter being, you're wearing more clothing, you're inside more, it's easy to kind of get in that mentality of, like, I just want to go home, cuddle up, have some hot chocolate, eat some candy, eat some fun desserts, watch Netflix, and go to bed. Very easy. And I feel like people beat themselves up when they get off track. Just remind yourself, if you get back off track, it's just as easy to get back on track. So just own it, accept it, and move past it.
Brittany, thank you as always for coming on and dropping the jewels. I hear from the grapevine, well, actually, just from following you on social media, on your Instagram, that you have a website. Am I correct?
I do. It is dnoelfitness.com.
Awesome.
I don't know why I never mentioned that to you guys. It's definitely been around for a while. It's like my poor stepchild that I just don't mention. But I am going to start being more proactive about doing weekly blog posts about more tips and tricks. That way, I know a lot of my posts, I give kind of snippet captions, and some people want more information. So instead of me writing a bunch on Instagram, I'm going to make more lengthy blog posts and more fun posts specialized about topics like these, like what to do for holidays, things like that. So if you go to my website and you subscribe, then I will put you on the list to receive those blog posts once a week. No spamming, just information.
That sounds awesome, Brittany. And as always, again, you leave your Instagram, your email, and I think you already, you just dropped your website. for us. Leave all that information so that people can contact you and ask you questions and follow you as they so please.
Awesome. So my Instagram is at @the_Noel Fitness. Again, the website is just the Noel Fitness. And you can email me at BrittanyNoelFitness@gmail.com. In case you're wondering, you spell Brittany BRITTANY, and Noel is NOELLE. So that's how you can find me. I'm super friendly. Hit me up. Just don't slide into my DM and say hi.
Yeah, don't slide in the DM.
If you're in LA, awesome. I'm not going to hang out with you. If you say hi, just keep it real, people. Real nice. But yeah.
Yeah, please out there.
I'm to fitness, lifestyle, health, nutrition advice. So if you have a question, hit me with your question.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit podcast.
Another great Dropping the Jewels segment with the amazing and comical Brittany Noel. Thank you so much for joining us. It has been a while, and we're glad to have you back. Everybody, please go to Brittany's website. She has a plethora of information when it comes to fitness, and she's just an all-around very humble and down-to-earth person to know. We're getting ready to end the podcast. I just want to send a shout out to everybody that's listening, to thank all of our listeners who are tuning in to us. We're here, as I always say, to share information, to each one teach one, and my hopes for this podcast is to make fitness and health something that doesn't seem to be dreary, something that doesn't seem to be a burden to you, because it shouldn't be a burden. You know, when you're going to the gym, I don't want you to think of the gym as a gym. I want you to think of it as the playground. This is the place where you're going to go and play, because the playground, and I said this so many times before, is no different than the gym. As a child, maybe you did, maybe you didn't. I know me growing up, I like to run, I jumped, I played, I went to the playground, I climbed on the monkey bars, I slid down the slide, I ran around. You know, it was all about having fun. I picked up rocks, threw them. It's no different when you're going to the gym and you're exercising. It's just you've gotten a little bigger, gotten a little wiser, and your experiences have changed. But that doesn't mean that it's not the same playground. All right? I want you to try to tap into that mindset of what it was like to go to the playground. Why did we go to the playground? We went to the playground because we just wanted to have fun. And I want you to think the same way when you go to the gym. I want you to think the same way when you're living your life and you're making decisions about doing things that are better for your body. A lot of times we make these comments and make remarks and we say we're fitness junkies and we're fitness addicts and things like that. You know what? Truth of it is, anybody that's not thinking about their selves is irresponsible. That doesn't make a difference in whether it's you or me. If you're not thinking about your health in a holistic, in a whole 100 or 360 degree manner, then you're being irresponsible. That's just the basic, plain, stark, naked truth. 100%. And that's what we're here for. We're here to help you find ways to find that fun again, to make it fun. It doesn't have to be dreary. It's not a punishment. You can make it fun. It starts with your mindset. It starts with how you're thinking about it. It starts with how you think about yourself. If you want to make the change, you can make the change. Forget everything else. Forget everybody else. I know that there are a lot of you out there are probably stressed 100%. You're like, son, you don't know what I'm going through right now. I don't know what you're going through, but I know 100% that you can make a change, that you have the power. I didn't say it's going to be easy. It's going to be very difficult. Your body is going to fight you because your body wants to continue to do the same thing over and over again, but at the same time, it doesn't. And that's a roller coaster of complex, depressing, dysfunctional emotions. But you have the power. You can make the decision. And you can cast out all of the negativity that people are putting into you. You can cast out all of the things that you don't want. It's possible. It is so possible. So, as always, I say to you, you can do it. Be happy, be healthy, be fit. Find and make yourself the person you want to be. A lot of times we talk about, or we hear individuals say, "Oh, I want to look like Beyonce. I want to look like Mike Rashid, or I want to do like this." Let's stop that talk right now. Let's start trying to, for this, the last bit of 2019. Excuse me, the last bit of 2018. I'm a little ahead of myself, aren't I? For the last bit of 2018, getting ready to go into 2019, okay? Because we only really have 3 more months left in this year. If I'm correct, this is October, November, December. That's right. There's 3 months, and we're already almost halfway into October. We've only got 3 more months left in this year. 2018. Instead of saying who you want to look like, start creating, start molding, start designing, start building who you will be in 2019. Let's start putting the building blocks together. First step, start going to the playground. Start making it fun, because we're not going to do anything that's not fun. We're not going to do anything that doesn't make us feel good. Although that's a whole other side story, because I have stories about going to the bar with friends and seeing things and experiencing things under the guise of fun. But we're not going to talk about that. From right now, from this moment, I want you who are listening in to start making a map, to start designing what the new you was going to be, to create your body, to reshape your mind, to say who you will be in the future. And I want you to take pride in that. And I want you to get that warm feeling like, yeah, it's going to happen. Because it's going to take place. You're going to make it take place. The De La Fit podcast is here to help you. We have so many different guests lined up. So many different people who are passionate and are willing to share their information. Oh, it's time. Oh, it's time. And it's going to take place. Thank you for tuning in to the De La Fit podcast. If you like what you hear, if you like what we're doing, please subscribe, like, follow, share. We appreciate all your support. And as always, thank you. Be fit. Be fine. Be the best you can be.
You're now tuned in to the De La Fit podcast.